Alright guys, I think we're streaming, and I'm just gonna make sure everything's running, because this is gonna be the first time that I try to stream from both Twitch and YouTube for Severe Weather live streams. Right now there's not really a lot going on, so I'm mainly just doing this because I'm bored, but I can still answer questions based on current setups or anything ongoing right now. I know that we have Hurricane Lee, which is beginning to make its way eastward. It's just really bringing rainfall to eastern Maine, and that's really it for Hurricane Lee. But I'll be here, and I'll be here to answer questions for current meteorological setups or just meteorology in general. It's kind of more of a chill live stream compared to a severe weather live stream. It's late at night and I'm tired. I tried to go to sleep earlier and I couldn't, so I'm now doing this. But let's see if we can get let's see if I can get Twitch going. This is the first time I've tried to live stream from Twitch, and it doesn't look like it's going. But hopefully it will here in a sec. Oh, never mind. It says it's going. I don't see anything. Okay. I might have done something wrong as far as Twitch. I don't think I did this correctly. So give me a few seconds. If live streaming on YouTube stops for a second, it'll probably come back up later. But as of right now, I'm not sure what's going on. But hopefully we can get that fixed here in a second. I'm pretty sure live streaming on YouTube's going. Let me just double check. Yeah, it is. It's going. And it looks like it just failed. Alright, I might have screwed something up, but that's why we're troubleshooting this. That's why we're having this live stream tonight, so we can figure out what's going on, or how to do this at least. Alright, we might lose connection here for a second. Just bear with me. Alright, it does seem like it's still going. We might have a little bit of quality loss, but it looks fine on YouTube. But Twitch has been doing something weird. It keeps jumping from 6 megabits per second to 12 megabits per second, like every second. So I'm not sure if it's actually live streaming or not, or what's happening. So I don't see anything as far as Twitch. It's just a black screen. But as soon as I can... As soon as we can get this set up, then I'll start covering the weather. But as of right now, it's being weird. I'm not really sure what's going on. And again, that's why we're here, to figure out what is going on. Alright, give me 1 second to figure out what is going on with Twitch. I might have screwed something, but hopefully I can fix it. I don't even think the notification for YouTube streaming went on. I don't think that was sent out. So I'm not really sure if it even says I'm live on YouTube right now, or I'm not really sure what's going on right now. I'll figure it out eventually though. Alright, I'm stopping Twitch. I'm stopping the Twitch thing for now, just so I can. Because I definitely screwed something up. I just don't know what screwed up. That's the only issue. Right. Alright, it says I'm live, but then it also says offline, so that's what's confusing me. But then it also says unstable, so I don't know why it's unstable, and then why it says I'm live, and then also not live. So I'm extremely confused right now. Okay, so that's working at least. YouTube's working at least. I just need to figure out Twitch. Okay. So let's actually give a little breakdown of what's currently going on. So currently we do have this marginal threat for the Midwest into some of the Central Plains states like northeastern Kansas. We also do have this marginal threat for the coastal regions of Texas. However, this event has sort of ended already. We may have a little bit of rainstorms along the coastal, as well as maybe this slightly stronger storm just to the south of Robstown and Corpus Christi. I'm not really sure how you pronounce that, but it is there. We do have some rainstorms along the coast, as well as that slightly stronger storm further down south along the coast. So that is something to watch out for if you live across some of the coastal regions of Texas. But then as for the marginal threat for the Midwest into Central Plains, you can see that we do have a couple widespread severe thunderstorms with some rain back behind those. we do have some of these storms. A lot of these storms, their main threat is going to be mostly damaging winds, with the secondary threat of maybe some small to medium hail across this region. We do have some of these regions where we do have some of these pinks, which would be indicative of some medium hail. However, I think we currently have a 5% hail threat that could weaken a little bit by what looks to be 9 p.m. EST, whenever that SPC update comes out. But as of right now, uh, all these storms that would be associated with the marginal threat are beginning to move out of the marginal threat. So we are currently waiting on that 9 p.m. SPC update from the SPC, and then we can get a better idea of what's currently going on right now and what the SPC thinks are going to be the primary threats for these storms. However, the primary threats that I think are currently going to be associated with these storms that are ongoing are going to be the primary threat of damaging winds, with the secondary threat of some hail. We could definitely see some small to medium hail cross with some of these storms, like some of these embedded cells here. We do have some of those purples and those very dark reds. If I go to the Davenport radar, you can see that we did have some of these purples. With this, I think it was this radar right here, we did have some of these purples right here, but those are a little bit weaker when we're a little bit closer. But we do have some of these purples and darker reds, which could be indicative of some small to medium hail. So we could definitely see some small to medium hail with some of these storms across this region. But then it seems like we really have two main regions to focus on as far as storms tonight. We do have this cluster of storms and rain showers for Illinois into southern Wisconsin and eastern Iowa, as well as some storms across Missouri into eastern Kansas here. So if we take a look at those storms, if we take a look at those storms, we do have a couple severe thunderstorm warnings. We do have a little bit more isolated systems across Kansas. We do have this severe thunderstorm, which I think could lead to maybe some pea-sized hail. We do have some of these outflow boundaries from some of these rain showers across far eastern Kansas, and you can see that we do have that outflow boundary associated with these storms as they are continuing to propagate southeastward. Some of these outflow boundaries could help sustain this severe thunderstorm in particular and keep that up to its strength. As of right now, I do think it's on more of a downward trend. If you take a look at the radar loop, you can see that this cell in particular is the one that we are focused on for this severe thunderstorm warning. As of right now, it doesn't look like it is on a little bit more of a downward trend with this current not supercell. I don't think there's any rotating updraft. It doesn't look like it's a supercell. I don't think there's really much of any rotation. There was a little bit of spin up associated with this cell on some of the earlier radar scans. However, that has mostly subsided. If you're seeing a little bit of what could be seen as rotation on this storm in particular, that could be associated with this outflow boundary, which could help sustain this storm in particular. So we do have kind of like a link of storms right now. We do have these rain showers and the outflow boundaries from these rain showers, with that outflow boundaries supporting this cell, and then some of those outflow boundaries from that cell supporting this cell. However, this cell is mostly just going to be some heavy rain. However, we could see what looks to be some pea-sized hail to maybe some dime-sized hail with this cell in particular. I think we could also see some maybe larger hail, or maybe more quantities of hail associated with this severe thunderstorm in particular, as well as this one right here. We do have these two cells that do have some of those purples, which could definitely be indicative of some larger hail. But overall, I think our main threat from these are going to be damaging winds. I think we are expected to have that 5% wind threat, as well as that 5% hail threat. If I show you the SPC outlooks, if you go to tornado, we don't have any tornado threat in any location. We do have a 5% wind threat, and we also do have a 5% hail threat for this marginal threat. But that's pretty much it for the marginal threat. We could see maybe some damaging winds and some small to medium hail, and I might go over this later again in the live stream later. just for clarification, if anyone does join. And some of you guys may be wondering on Hurricane Lee, so let's actually go take a look at Hurricane Lee for now. Currently, Hurricane Lee is a post-tropical cyclone. Lee is currently a tropical storm. It wasn't really expected to impact as a major hurricane. It was expected to weaken down pretty significantly compared to what a lot of the models were forecasting. That trough that did pass through and that cold front did weaken it significantly, weakening it down to that tropical storm and low end Cat 1 level. I was forecasting that it could impact as a low end Cat 1 at most, but overall it does look like it has been impacting with tropical storm intensity. We do have some of these tropical storm warnings here. We did have some tropical storm warnings as far down as Rhode Island, however those have been canceled. We do have some remaining tropical storm warnings for Maine though. We are expected to see overall the main threat of flash flooding with this. As you can see, we have tons of rain from Hurricane Lee, tons of widespread rainfall, and we could definitely see some flash flood warnings. I think we did see a couple earlier today, and you can see that a lot of this rain just isn't really going away. We are expected to see just continuous rain for eastern Maine, which is going to be the primary threat for Hurricane Lee. Is just mainly rainfall. We did have a weak potential for storm surge. I think storm surge was supposed to get up to at most, I think at most a 3 feet, 1 foot to 3 feet storm surge. However, that isn't really like that has subsided from now. I think we may be able to see maybe the remaining potential for some weaker storm surge across some of the coastal regions of Maine, with Hurricane Lee kind of just sitting here. But overall, I do think that the main threat from this is going to be mainly flash flooding with the heavy amounts of rainfall that we have across eastern Maine. I think we have that slight risk. Actually, I can check, but I'm pretty sure it's a slight risk. It's currently a I think I lost my train of thought. It's late at night right now. I think it's a slight risk excessive rainfall threat. I can't really tell. It's covered up by all the tropical storm warnings. Actually, let me turn those off for now so we can actually see our flash flooding threat. Alright, so now we can see that flash flooding threat a little bit more. The excessive rainfall threat or outlook. We do currently have that slight risk for eastern Maine, with that marginal threat for half of eastern Maine. Mainly where you see these intense rain bands that have just been sitting here for the last couple of hours. We could definitely see a bunch of flash flooding in low-lying areas with tons of rainfall from this. We just have non-stop rainfall across eastern Maine. So that's currently what we're looking at for Hurricane Lee, and that's pretty much what we're also looking at for as far as severe thunderstorms. With Hurricane Lee, we could see flash flooding, but then with some of the severe thunderstorms across the Midwest, we could also see damaging winds and some small to medium hail, and that's pretty much it as far as the thunderstorms and Hurricane Lee. But I will be here to answer questions about some of the ongoing events, or maybe even later events. I may have to go look at some of those for later events. Might have to look at some of the models, but I will definitely answer some of those questions. And if you do have any questions, feel free to ask. But I'll just be here for probably quite some time. Alright, thank you for telling me that my microphone is muted. Um, uh, so, right now, currently it does look like that some of the severe thunderstorms that some of the severe thunderstorm warnings that we've had have since been canceled. However, we could still see the potential for some hail. You can see that we do have some colors that are going to be in the deep reds as well as some of the purples. With the newest radar scan, it doesn't look like that we have any more purples for this cell in particular. I think this cell is going to begin to die down, but we could still see some small to medium hail for some of these systems across eastern Texas or eastern Kansas. But then if let's check back up on the storms for the other half of the marginal threat. We did have a few special weather statements that have been canceled. It does look like a lot of the storms are going to be more on a downward trend this late at night with the lack of diurnal heating. Because the sun is now set, we aren't expected to see all that much of a growing threat for severe thunderstorms. It's more of a weakening threat now because the storms don't have daylight heating anymore. You can see that a lot of these storms looked much better earlier and have they're rapidly deorganizing. They're becoming much weaker. I was trying to find the words for what I was trying to say. They're beginning to deorganize and become weaker overall. I think there's a ghost in my house. I don't know what happened. But yeah, I'm probably just going to be here and answer questions. I think if ABC123 ID is still here, I think they tuned into the last live stream for what I think it was July something. I don't remember the date, but it was for the Chicago live stream, the thunderstorms in Chicago. I think they tuned into that one, so I'll just be here answering questions for some of the ongoing events that we have, mainly Hurricane Lee and this marginal threat. If you see this marginal threat for the coastal regions of Texas, this is not a ongoing event right now. This should be removed by the 9 p.m. EST 9 p.m. EST SBC update, which should come out here in a few minutes. It is now 9 p.m. It's 9:02 p.m. EST, so we should have that update come out here in a second, and it should update live. Okay, so that update just came out, and our severe threats have now just they have just become they've disappeared. They have become just TSTM threats. They are no longer marginal threats or anything. They are just TSTM threats. We don't have a marginal threat for anywhere anymore, I think. However, we could still see some of these storms supporting mostly just rainfall. However, some locations might be able to support maybe some small to medium hail and damaging winds. But overall, again, as I did mention, the reason why we don't have these marginal threats anymore is because that most of these storms are going to be more on their downward trend this late at night. So I'm not sure how long this live stream is going to be. It's probably going to be pretty short. I just came on here because I really didn't have anything better to do. So that's currently why I'm on here. Oh wait, never mind. We just got another update. I think. I don't know what's happening. It just went backwards in time. We have our marginal threats back again. This is very confusing. So hopefully we'll get our update back here in a second, but we might have a marginal threat for possibly across eastern Kansas. It's more of a possibly than a probably. And we maybe see a weak marginal threat for northern Illinois, for some of those storms, and across northern Illinois, and then a second marginal threat for eastern Texas. It's more of a possibly than a probably. And now we just got our update again. It went backwards and it removed our update, and then it gave us our update back. So I'm not sure what's going on right now, but it doesn't look like anything changed from since they removed it. We just have the few TSTM threads, but Some of these storms may be able to support the small possibility of some small hail. Like some of these systems across eastern Kansas, you can see some of these deep reds and purples. It could be heavy rain, but could also be some small hail in there as well. But then, as for northern Illinois, most of these storms are the storms that are going to be mostly on their downward trend. They did look better organized and more intense in some of the previous radar scans, and that's because it is becoming nighttime, and the lack of diurnal heating isn't going to really support a growing severe potential anymore. It's going to be more of a weakening severe potential. Never mind, we regressed again. We've went backwards. We now have our marginal threats again. I'm very confused. We now have our marginal threats again. But yeah, if you guys have any questions as far as if you guys do have any questions as far as Hurricane Lee, some of the ongoing storms for the Midwest into the Central Plains, or for Hurricane Lee, then feel free to ask. I'm probably gonna be here for a while, so if you have any concerns about some of these storms, do, again, feel free to ask. But, yeah. Let's just see what it gives us whenever we get our update again. I don't think it's going to change. I think it's just been going back and forth for some reason. Yeah, now we have no marginal threats anymore. It's probably just going to go backwards again. I should stream games. Honestly, I thought about it. On some of these lower end days, like today, I have thought about doing some more weather related game live streams. I might do some in the future. I'm gonna end the husk of the Twitch live stream. I can't get that one to work, so I'm just gonna end it because it's currently just streaming black. I can't figure out how to get it to work. It's not displaying anything. It's just black, and I don't know what I did wrong or how to fix it. It's streaming nothing, even though it says I'm offline, even though it also says I'm live. So I'm very confused on the Twitch aspect of things. I was gonna try to do like a dual live stream for Twitch and YouTube whenever we have some of these severe thunderstorm coverage live streams. However, I can't get Twitch to work, so I might have to do that some later time. But I'm gonna be so tonight. I'll probably be mostly focusing on YouTube. Refresh, you say? Alright, let's refresh then. Let's refresh. Actually, let's start the live stream again and then refresh. It didn't really fix anything on the Twitch side. I think Twitch isn't going to work out for tonight. I think I'm mainly going to have to stay on the YouTube side of things. I don't think Twitch is going to work for tonight. But I might have to set that up some other time. But I don't think Twitch is going to work for tonight. But if you guys have any concerns as far as some of the thunderstorms that are currently ongoing in the Midwest or Central Plains, or for Hurricane Lee, do feel free to ask. I'll probably be here for maybe another 30 minutes, but then I'm probably gonna use Kick. Maybe is Kick? I thought I heard that Kick is like becoming like more popular than Twitch slowly. I think Twitch is still fairly popular, but I think it's also maybe beginning to get phased out a little bit. But I'm not really sure if that's true or not. it is Twitch is being more phased out and Kick's becoming more popular. Alright, I'll probably think about doing Kick at some point, dual live stream on YouTube and Kick for severe thunderstorm coverage. I'll definitely look into it before next big severe thunderstorm event rolls around. Might be, let's actually go over some of the tropics here, because we do have a lot of these warning cones here. We do have, I think, we do have this tropical storm here. We have tropical storm, we have tropical depression 15. It's not a tropical storm yet. It's currently forecasted to get up to a category 2 for a little bit, and then we can back down into a category 1 and continue off to the east. This really isn't expected to pose any threat to the United States whatsoever. I don't think this is going to come anywhere close to impacting the United States. This is likely, again, just going to veer off to the east somewhere. Then we also have this weird tropical storm. Tropical storm Margaret is expected to stay. It is expected to stay tropical storm for quite some time, and then we can back down into a post-tropical depression. But it is expected to make some weird U-turn and then go eastward towards Europe. So that's really as far as tropics. After Lee moves out of the area, I might stop covering tropics unless we actually have in our daily live streams. I might stop covering tropics until we have a threat that is very notable. Because as of right now, after Lee moves out of the region, I don't think we're expected to see a threat to the United States as far as tropics for the rest of the tropical season. If you could possibly see maybe a threat from this right here, and I probably won't cover it in tomorrow's forecast. It currently has a 30% chance in the next 7 days. I think a lot of these temperatures out in the ocean, I think a lot of this heat out in the ocean is getting cooler. We can actually check the models here. Let's go to the models for a second. Let's actually go check that out. Let's go to global in GFS. And we can take a look at some of the computer simulated temperatures for the oceans. Alright, so GFS models may not be the best for tropic coverage because they're more long-term than they are short-term and more accurate. They usually give like a broad aspect of what could possibly happen than what is actually going to happen. So these may not be the best models to look at as far as tropics. However, it does look like that a lot of this heat in the Atlantic is still going to be fairly hot. We are expected to see temperatures in the waters that are still going to be in those 80 degrees, in those mid-80s, which will definitely help with tropical development. And even if we do have a 30% chance in the next 7 days for this current tropical disturbance, we could maybe see an increase of that later on in time. But we may be able to see an increase in potential this further on in time, but I likely, again, will not cover this in tomorrow's daily forecast, because it is going to be, we don't have a current standing threat to the United States. Nothing really shows that there's going to be tropical impacts to the United States aside from Hurricane Lee. However, I think that's going to move out by I think early morning to very late afternoon of today. So I won't be covering the Lee in tomorrow's forecast. I probably won't cover the tropics at all. So tomorrow's video might be a little bit shorter because I can drop tropics for tomorrow. And then let's go back to some of the single site radar so we can look at the now gone marginal threat for the Midwest. And again, if anyone tuning in has any questions as far as Hurricane Lee or anything in the tropics, or some of the storms that are ongoing for the Midwest into Central Plains, do feel free to ask. I'll probably answer them. I most likely will answer them if you do have any questions on these storms that are currently ongoing. Again, do feel free to ask. some of these I will answer questions for these ongoing storms, Hurricane Lee, and some of the stuff in the tropics. Or if you have any questions about some severe weather that may happen later on in the week for your location, I will probably answer that as well. But as of right now, there's not really much going on. Our severe potential has been taken away from us. I think let's actually take a look at some of these storms that are currently ongoing. We do have a lot of these storms that we were seeing a potential for damaging winds mainly have just become heavy rain. However, we do have this region here, which is an area heavier rain, and we do have some of those darker reds in some locations. We do have some of these much darker reds in some very small locations, which could indicate some small hail. But that's going to be about it as far as threats outside of damaging winds for this location. We could still see damaging wind threat with these storms, which is probably going to be the primary threat with these storms that are currently ongoing. But we could also see the secondary threat of some small hail. But then let's take a look. Let's check back on the storms that are currently going on for the eastern Kansas region, which are weakening down significantly. We do have these cells that we have had ongoing for quite a while. They are definitely on a downward trend. However, they are still pumping out some quite strong potential. It's still not enough to really warrant a marginal threat. This is like these are just a couple stronger cells amidst some spotty, overall weaker thunder rain shower cells. So this wouldn't really be enough to warrant a marginal threat at this late at night for this location. As long term, the lack of diurnal heating isn't going to support thunderstorm development anymore. As I have mentioned earlier, without the sun, it is now nighttime now. So without the sun, we are expected to see a loss of heat, and that is going to lead to more of a downward trend with these storms this late at night. And however, you can see that we do have some of these purples here on some of these cells. We do have some weak purples and darker reds with this cell. And we also do have some more prominent purples with this cell. So we could see some small to medium hail with these two cells. But that's going to be it. And we could also possibly see some damaging winds with these as well. This outflow boundary from these rain showers across eastern Kansas and western Missouri, you can see that we do have that weak outflow boundary here. It was a very strong outflow boundary earlier today. This is helping keep these storms, this cell in particular, ongoing, and that outflow boundary is helping this cell continue at the strength it is. But as this system begins to weaken, it has weakened significantly so far. This weakening outflow boundary should lead to overall a weakening threat from this cell in particular. We should see it become less organized here soon, but overall, we are expected to see a huge downward trend in the storms that we have for the Midwest for tonight. Where did all of our radars go? Oh wait, never mind, they're here. Stop eating. I'm not eating anything. Yeah, it is fairly silent. I don't really know what would like prevent this silence. So we don't really have like strong storms that are currently ongoing. As I did mention, these storms are much more on the weakening side. They are on that downward trend, as I mentioned multiple times already. We should see them become mostly rainstorms. However, some locations could provide a weak severe potential. That isn't going to be enough to warrant a marginal threat location for some of these storms. We do have those two severe thunderstorm cells, those two severe thunderstorm possible cells across eastern Texas, which wouldn't be, they currently aren't severe thunderstorm warned, but we could still see some small to medium hail from those, but that these two cells aren't going to be enough to warrant that a marginal threat across eastern Kansas this late at night, especially with long term. The downward trend in a lot of these storms that we are seeing wouldn't be able to warrant a marginal threat for any location, really, just at most a TSTM threat. But then if we take a look at the second location for thunderstorms for tonight across Illinois, we do have these few areas where we could see a very weak severe potential. We also have this cluster of weaker cells to the west of this line of rain, and that could provide a weak severe potential, but overall it isn't going to be enough to warrant a marginal threat across that region at this time. So that's why we don't really have any marginal threats or ongoing forecasted regions for for severe thunderstorms, because this downward trend in the downward trend in the thunderstorms that we are seeing currently would not lead to a long-term forecast or potential for severe thunderstorms, which would be marginal threat or above. So that's why we don't have that marginal threat for any locations currently. Stop clicking. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to use my brain to telepathically move my mouse across my screen? Touch screen. Alright. What about those eye tracker things? Those things that like you can hook up to your computer that like track where you're looking at? The thing that I think it's like a pair of contacts that you can put on your eyes that tracks where you're looking at, and then I think if you blink it clicks for you, but then you would have to like look away from your screen every time you would have to like blink. Why would I know? I don't know. I just saw it. I think Markiplier did a video on them once. Alright, well, um, I think I've really covered everything that I really needed to cover for tonight. I touched on Hurricane Lee, and I also touched on these storms that are currently ongoing. So I'm probably gonna end the live stream here. It was short, but it also was sort of fun because I was mainly doing this because I was bored, and I also wanted to answer some questions about some of the storms that were currently ongoing. So it was just a cool little thing to do. But I'm probably gonna end the stream for now and go to sleep. So uh, so I hope everyone that tuned in has a good night, and hopefully, and I'm going to be ending the live stream here. So thank you all for tuning in, and hopefully I should see you guys tomorrow with another forecast.